Welcome back to the Money and Wealth Show. I'm Sterling Fox in conversation this week with Portfolio Manager Adrian Mastracci from KCM Wealth Management in Vancouver. Our subject today, Adrian, is retirement, a subject that a lot of Canadians approach with considerable reluctance, being dragged kicking and screaming, in many cases, certainly in mine, and yet it is inevitable. It's a subject that we all have to come to. I should point out also that Mr. Mastracci is a prolific newsletter writer, and his website, kcmwealth.com, is a great place to start for a visit to begin to receive newsletters. One of your recent ones, Adrian, was entitled, "Can Your Nest Pass the Test?" And I read that with great interest, and I found that one of the things you were asking your clients and readers was, have you spread yourself too thin? Do people do that?
Well, quite often they do, and that's one of the things you really have to be very careful of. One of the things that we test for example, is my investment plan that I have right now good enough to get me to where I want to be in 10 or 15 years or whatever that is? If I borrow too much money, perhaps, do I have the right mix? Am I getting the right advice from my professionals? These are a lot of things that you can do as an investor. They're very simple to do, but you can look at whatever you're doing and say to yourself, do I pass the test? Mm-hmm. Am I doing that sort of stuff right? And if I'm not, take some action.
Why do people spread themselves too thin? Is it lack of knowledge of the marketplace, or is there a measure of desperation involved in that strategy as well?
Well, quite often what happens is they buy a lot of investments. They have a lot of stuff under their belt. However, when you look deep into the investments, they all have roughly the same sort of things. They have the banks and the oils and all those wonderful sectors. So there's really not a lot of difference between one and the other. And people look at it and say, yes, I think I'm well diversified, but really they're not. They're really spread across just a few things only.
I should point out, too, that Adrian and I have been having money conversations on radio and television for years and years. And the gospel, according to Adrian, is indeed diversify, and when in doubt, diversify some more. And this is advice that you've been passing on to your clients for decades. And yet, what's the difference between diversification and spreading yourself too thin?
Well, what we try and do in our portfolios is look at the geography that the client ought to be in. Is it Canada? Is it the U.S.? Is it the global scene? And then we populate that with investments that fit Canada, that fit the U.S., that fit the global scene. And if something goes up or down, I only have to tweak the one that went up or down. I don't have to tweak everything else that the client has. So there's a lot of little things that you can do that are quite useful in a portfolio that don't take a lot and will make you pass that test.
Adrian, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show today. Our guest has been Adrian Mastracci, president of KCM Wealth Management in Vancouver. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll get together again and rehash this whole retirement business, even if it is uncomfortable for yours truly. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you, Sterling.
We'll be right back.
Tax Tips with David Ingram.
You know, I'm 67. I finally bought myself an RRSP. Why? Because if you take $2,000 a year out of a RIF after you're age 65, you get a $2,000 a year pension income deduction. And let's pretend I live to be 88. That'd be another 21 years. I can take $42,000 out tax-free, and putting it in, I get a $42,000 tax deduction. Well, that's a tax tip and a really good use for an RRSP.
And that's our program for this week. Our thanks to David Ingram and to our special guest, Adrian Mastracci. Thanks also to you for joining us. If you have some thoughts about today's show that you'd like to share with us, please send them along to comments@themoneyandwealthshow.com. I'm Sterling Fox. See you next time.
Comments made on the preceding paid commercial program are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time.